Hey guys, how's it going? It's Talomic here with DNB Academy, and I want to take a look at 3 classic drum and bass lines, predominantly in sort of liquid, and deconstruct those and make them as quickly as we can. So the first will be a kind of classic low pass reese. As I said, we're going to kind of blitz through these and I'll explain as we're going. So we're going to detune 2 saw waves against each other. I'm going to turn the random on the phase down to hit mono, and we're going to turn a little bit of portamento on. That'll just mean that we can glide between them, and we're going to add a low pass filter. And the reason that we've got 2 waves detuned from each other is to create that kind of beating effect. So you can hear it kind of modulates faster as we're playing higher notes. One other thing that we're going to do very quickly is just turn key tracking on the filter. You can hear when we play high notes before, they kind of lose a lot of their kind of tone and character. If I turn that on, you can literally see on Serum that the filter is modulating. It basically allows higher frequencies through on higher notes. We're going to add a little bit of drive. And for me personally, I like a slightly steeper cutoff. The cutoff on your filter will basically be dependent on the kind of tune that you're writing and like how much top end you want from your reese. If you're going for like something more aggressive, you might want something a bit softer. If you're going for a deeper tune, you'll want a little bit more on the filter. Let's go to the effects. A little bit distortion. Try with a few different types. Tube can sound good, soft clippings sound good. Also some of the diode modes can sound great as well. They're a little bit more aggressive, obviously. I find diode 2 has a lot more control within it. Diode 1 is just like straight in your face. And I also find that tape saturation and stomp box can be quite nice as well. So I haven't messed with them, but we'll try tube for now. And that's pretty much it. You know, you can add a sub. So that's direct out and then it won't interfere with anything else. We can add some multiband compression. Handy if you've got lighter filters. You can add some EQ with some notch filtering. You could also add a notch filter as well. So if I set, you know, an LFO to that frequency. Just to add movement. And you can also then sort of do all of this. So sometimes I find if I do then I can use that final filter basically to like tone it down. So you really bring out all the high end, all the aggression in the sound, and then you're kind of toning that however you want it with a filter at the end of the chain. But there you go. On to bass number 2. So initialize patched again. For bass number 2, we're going to use 2 sine waves. So turn the phase down. And we're going to detune these again. Similar amount, about 30 cents or so. And you can hear we kind of get that beating the same as we did with the saw wave, but with less, obviously, harmonics. And we're going to add a warp mode to both of these. So if we go into the warp mode selector, we'll go window full. The different window modes will all sound sort of more distinct. I find that the no window and window half have more harmonics and more harsh. I think, and I might be wrong here, I think the way that it does it is it makes sure that it's capping the waveform within the parameters, and so it's always going to be at a 0 crossing point. And the reason on the full and on the others it doesn't, and so that'll be why you're getting more harmonics, is you're essentially getting that almost like square wave effect where it's like jumping amplitude. I might be wrong, don't quote me on that, but that's how I at least imagine it in my head. Add a macro to both just so that we can move them both uniformly without me having to do one and then match it again a second time. We're gonna set mono and we'll set some portamento as well. And that's kind of the basis of the sound, right? Similar kind of processes to how we did before. Can add a sub. We can add some distortion. With the distortion, I sometimes find I struggle to get the drive right, and I can get like a nice tone, but then it's a little bit too much. That's where the mix comes in. You can also, with this one, you can start adding things like chorus as well. But be careful with that, make sure that you've got a separate sub going out and everything else. But pretty much that's it really. There's not a lot to this one. I love this sound. I use this in tunes all the time. So yeah, this is a great one. Let's move on to our final one. Okay, so again, we're going to be starting with sine waves. The actual basis to the sound is going to be very similar to the one we just did. So I'm going to detune a little bit more here. Let's go -50 and 50. The detune is more here, so it's important that we make sure they're both bang on equal. The way that we perceive pitch is if we've got two things that are detuned from each other, we'll perceive the pitches in the middle. And so if I have one that's like detuned by 50 cents and the other that's detuned by 40, we're going to be 10 off base, or sort of -40 and 50. We're going to be 10 cents off base as to where we're perceiving the note, and so it's going to sound out of tune. If I take both of them and detune 50 and 50, then it's fine because we're perceiving that as bang in the center. This is a nice one to kind of jump and play around with. So let's add an envelope. And let's add an LFO envelope to the master pitch. So we'll go to the matrix, global master tuning, and make it quite quick. And we can adjust the amount either by dragging this here or by adjusting the amount here, or both. So you can see here on the higher notes, sounds pretty horrendous, but on the lower notes, it sounds great. So we're going to add some mono. I'm not going to let it glide because I quite like that attack envelope. I'm going to go in and add some distortion. Great, and a little bit of noise. We can also accentuate the envelope. So the amplitude envelope here will be working on the volume. We can like exaggerate it by adding the envelope again. So we're essentially like doubling the peaks and troughs. And that's it pretty much. Yeah, that was off. That'll be why. Yeah, this is a great one to play around with. This is also a nice like filler bass, so you can do it as like the start of a drop and then go into a bass line, or do it like at the end of a phrase or something. It works great on octave jumps and that kind of thing as well. So, and as with all of these, any post-processing you do, sort of saturation, EQ, those kind of things, will also help to shape the sound to fit your tune better. But how you do that will depend on the type of tune you're doing. So yeah, Hope that was helpful. Any questions, let us know, and I'll see you in the next one.